can hear you. Yes, yes.
I'm glad that it's signaled that you're recording so I could get myself together. Okay.
Yeah. No, but we still gonna be talking shit.
Okay. Thank you for letting me be myself today.
No, ma'am. That's the way. No, that's the way we gonna do it. Cause there's some
Okay.
stuff we gotta get off our chest.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
my girlfriend I talked to her this morning in the wee
Mm-hmm.
hours of the morning, and I know that you will understand, being the vessel that you are,
Mm-hmm.
the task that we have when you're toggling between the artist space and the business space.
Yes, ma'am.
What I've experienced in the last, what I call my Atlanta experience, was
Mm-hmm.
going away to school.
Okay.
Now, I didn't go to Spelman.
Right.
I went to the School of Businesses,
Mm-hmm.
School of Black Businesses, the Black experience trying to navigate businesses in Atlanta. And Lynn, I don't know, I can't pronounce her last name. I think
Mm-hmm.
she's West Indian.
Okay.
She presented an opportunity to Epiphany
Okay.
for myself, as well as this percussionist by the name of Chris Paquet. They shot
Mm-hmm.
it down for
Okay.
whatever reason. We are going to need a space to activate. And she has a full formatted program for how we're supposed to go into these communities and emerge the DJ with live
Mm-hmm.
music and percussion, and the format for history and all of those things. Everything is lining up. The
Yes, ma'am.
programs, the communication, the relationships are all lining up. And I asked God for this in my order of coming back to Chicago. I'm like, they need to acknowledge all the work I've done in
Yeah.
Chicago before I left. And now is the time for me to continue to execute that work here and to merge all of these relationships and bring people together.
Mm-hmm.
I
And that's
felt the shift. I felt
yes.
it. I was like, oh. And then I talked to
Felt
my
it.
YouTube astrologers, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, this is what's happening. This is where you are. You're divinely ordered. You're being protected. You got to
Yep.
start asking. You're a boss. Own it. And everything that you experience is not going to resonate. But what resonates with you, like, oh, like, oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And it's so much, like you said, divinely ordered. Because even a
Yes.
friend of mine, in Italy, she called me the other day. She was like, "I'm trying to put together." She's like, "I have some African Cubans over here and some folks from Brazil," and she's like, "I want to put together a performative that tells the African diaspora story through music." She's like, "Because they're not teaching it right over here. They're not doing so." She was like, I
Line of it is blues and jazz have to be at the forefront. And how
yes,
we move through the spaces is where we bring all of this shit back. House heads don't want to acknowledge all the music culture that goes into the space of house music.
would
Hip
you
hop
say
is
that?
only, and
Yes.
I have denied hip hop for a while because I'm
Hmm.
so rooted in jazz. I'm so rooted
It's all
in
connected, girl.
musicianship.
It's all connected.
I'm so rooted in musicianship. I need these musicians to be at the forefront because DJing is beating a dead horse. The synergy is not where it should be.
Yeah.
We're
Hmm.
eliminating the organic music, and it can no longer be. It
It
can't.
cannot. It cannot. And even just in the last, just this week, but it's been last week and the previous week, some of the guys that were at the panel, J Mo, the guitarist, the
Yes.
drummer, we
Yes.
put together a whole performative that goes from blues to jazz to rock and roll to R&B to
Yes.
hip hop,
Yes.
talking about the Chicago. It came from Chicago
The
because even with
influence.
the VJ Records that was on Michigan Avenue and just so
Yes.
many things. And we took it to the West Coast with Earth, Wind, and Fire. And then I've
Yes.
been talking to some of the gospel heads in Chicago. We were talking about Roberta Martin, James Cleveland, how they just
Yes.
took, I was like, y'all don't know the influence that Chicago has put on this
And
world.
see, this is what I find very interesting about that. We about to shit up, and it's gonna
Yes,
hurt.
ma'am.
It's gonna
It's gonna
hurt.
hurt.
It's gonna hurt. It's gotta hurt. God told me today when I woke up, he was like, say what you have to say, then clean
Hmm.
it up later. But
Yeah.
if you hold it they're not going to get why they need to pay attention and do what you ask them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So say the fuck what you got to say, and oh, I apologize for my language, or
The girl,
but I got to
yes,
shake, I got it, whatever it takes to shake people up to get them to understand.
because they
Why does Theaster keep going to these places and bringing these the Asian culture in? I know it's a little bit of a strategy. I do understand, and please enlighten me further. Is there some kind of stipulation around how the artist merges with businesses like the University of Chicago? Is there some kind of specificity around the type of programming that he has to do? Because there is the Dwayne Powell and these musicians that are, he's using the DJ format, but they're not acknowledging Chicago's programming.
Mhm.
Chicago's in, they're not quite acknowledging Chicago as you're doing.
Right.
They're not saying the Earth, Wind, and Fire. They're not talking about Chess Records on Michigan Avenue. They're not mentioning that in the house music narrative. Is there a specific, and he won't answer that, I'm sure.
Right.
What's going to happen is he's going to be brought to the carpet, because we've crossed paths with him
Okay.
in a lot of ways. And I do understand that there is a specific association that one should have with arts and culture, but
Hmm.
we're on this merge and this verge of need for commerce and culture that says you have to appeal to the businesses. He keeps creating businesses that don't have sustainability.
Yeah.
There's something in that that says, are you holding the space for these corporate brands and these corporate businesses that it does not align with the current structures of businesses that want to work with you, that are not so art adjacent? What is the formatting and the specificity
Um,
around the formatting?
Now that I cannot
You can't
give
answer it
a
for him, but you know it exists.
right. Oh my God, yes, it exists. And I'm seeing it on several different entities. I'm seeing it in the aspect of what we're looking at on a socio-political arena,
Yes.
how even in America and in other parts of the world, how we're owned by China. And let's just be honest, we're owned.
Okay. Yeah. It's true. It's
And
true.
it's true.
They're pulling all the layers back to make sure that
Hmm.
he knows that.
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
think that we need, so what's the level of relationships do we need? We do need China.
We do.
Do you think that they're open and receptive to working with us in a capacity that can lend to that, like that crossing of business and culture? Because everything points back to us.
Yeah,
They're
very much
they're
so.
replicators. They
Very
reproduce
much so.
at a mass, but they don't create
No.
the essence.
Mm-mm. And that's when it comes down to where you're going to have to use that aspect of us as artists and creative, where you're going to have to use the jazz and the hip hop because their younger
The aura,
generation
the
love our
aura.
hip hop.
They
Yes,
do. They
they love our
absolutely
hip
do.
hop, but
They
then
absolutely do.
also they love our jazz. They
Right.
love the history and sound of our jazz.
Right.
So yeah, Theaster's playing the game and he's getting into those rooms and stuff, but it's gonna come back to the folks that are talking, and we're gonna have to be the ones that keep putting it in their faces. We created this. No, this is our stuff, and this is where it differs in terms of the Black Americans who are actually saying and holding it down, whereas a lot of the some of the Africans who don't know the history of Black Americans,
Right.
we have that foundation and understanding. And of course, a lot of this stuff has started to be unveiled and unrevealed because we now have artists like Shabuzi, who
Yes.
is
Yes.
his family is
Merging.
from, but they have been in America and they see that the stuff that we've been talking about for forever.
Right.
So they're now bringing their African brethren to like, nah, this is not how it is. This is what it is,
Right.
but they're doing it through music. So
Right.
we, as the originators of the jazz, the blues, the hip hop and stuff, on this side, we have to partner with them. And I
Yeah.
think that's where the Aster on his asset, because he, in my experience, I have not seen him with those type of folks, our kind of folks
You
at
don't.
all.
You don't.
So
You
us
typically
who,
like when I saw him travel, I was like, okay, I see him reaching. I see that we need that diversity. I
yeah,
see that
yeah,
we need those relationships. I'm never gonna trip on anybody for
never.
reaching out beyond our people to create that because the economy needs all of us. But I'm like, how does that take a priority? Where's the intention of merging that culture? Because I was
Yeah,
like, you reinvented the space over here on 55th, and you put a whole Chinese collection of records in that space, right? Please, please know my
girl.
heart is of good. I'm not, I
No,
don't want, I don't want people to think that I'm hating, right?
no, it's
I'm
not that.
assessing where we fit in that narrative. It's
Hmm.
impractical for that community,
For
right?
that
Because
community.
when it was a currency exchange cafe, at
Hmm.
least you were attempting to bring people into the space.
Yeah,
Everybody was there because they had food and beverage. They had arts and music. And now it's like occasionally open. We don't know how it's serving our people. And our people are not necessarily in the narrative.
right.
And that's why I'm like, how
And
are
that's
we?
why I have a problem. That's why
So
I have a
please,
problem.
please excuse me when I haven't been in the space since it closed. We walked past it to go to the record store a couple weeks ago, but I
Hmm.
looked at it and I was like, how are we supposed to use this space?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah. And it comes down to my opinion in seeing this, it comes down to the separation again of an elitist. For the people that are of that community, they're unable to use and access this space. But you have folks from um, way, way up north who want to come out and experience the space and sit in the space. And then, oh, I want to buy property over here. And oh, I want to buy
That's what it's for. That's the
yes,
campaign.
yes.
That's the campaign. And I mean, and I know that it
So,
has to exist. I know that
mhm,
we have to share commerce. We have to
yeah.
share space. It can be a good marriage, but I'm like, without keeping the soul and the blues and the jazz
Hmm.
intertwined. And maybe because this is why we're having this conversation, maybe it is not his work. Maybe
And
it's
that there is
ours.
that.
It's
Yeah.
ours. Maybe it is
Hmm.
ours.
Yeah.
So in essence, dissecting their machines, seeing how they're moving. And I know that God has called me to stop talking about house music so much and
Hmm.
start talking about jazz and blues. And again, if hip hop is the language of the current folk, then I
Yeah.
have to go back and associate with that language to make sure that you understand that we got all of the components to be
Yeah.
able to get these relationships.
And I and I want you to think about this from perspective. And this
Please,
is a
please.
lecture that I dealt with some of my students. When we were brought over here, our ancestors and our folks, they brought the best. They wanted the scientists, the scholars, and all of that. It wasn't a distinctive in terms of we weren't categorizing the music or anything. We were just singing our songs. It was songs for us. They put the categories to, oh, this is blues, this is art,
Marketing,
rock and
marketing,
roll. Yes,
marketing.
because they wanted to make it palatable for the other folks.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So blues is jazz, is gospel, is hip hop. This is their version of the younger people's version of the blues is hip hop.
It
So it's
absolutely
all
is.
connected.
It
So
is.
if we want to connect with that generation and bring them along and make them aware of their history, we have to understand that it's all married together. So,
I
but
accept
also when
it.
we're looking at for again going back to that marketing and the distinction, and they wanted to keep it all segregated and they wanted to make it rock and roll palatable for white America, and the lesser folks had the blues and the juke joints and all that other stuff, but then they took over jazz. And
Right.
even in Europe, they are trying to, oh my God, when I say they're trying to redo every version of Duke Ellington, of Miles Davis, and they haven't brought anything new to the
They
table,
can't. They
they
can't.
can't.
They
So
can't
they're
without us.
still trying to give what do you call it when they do a play over and they're trying to update it for the most part. Like we're gonna,
Covers, remixes,
yeah, yeah.
reworks,
And we
edits,
want to do exactly. They keep
twists, however
repeating
you.
because nothing has been updated from that. But we have been creating, we continue to create because in our spaces and the different things, we create out of our pain, we create out of our troubles, and it's joyous for us. We keep doing it. It's not
Right. Right.
when you put a word to it, they say it's pain, but it's joy for us because we're still creating. We are
Right.
light givers. We are
Right.
light bearers. So we're bringing all this light to the
Correct.
world while they're trying to dim our light. So
Correct.
going back to Theaster, he's aligning himself with these spaces and with these people because it's bringing in the
Relationship.
dollars.
Right. Relationships.
However, people like you and I, y'all better not forget the foundation. You better not forget the
Like you
root.
can't.
It's
Like you
us.
can't. You can't. You can't. And I'm like, if you do the proper. And I'm like, if you do the proper research, and I'm gonna be called. I'm gonna have to deal with my education. I'm gonna have to,
Mhm.
update to be associated. I'm gonna get myself together. That's what God just told me
Girl,
right now. Like no, because I know either
to
it's
get
gonna
in
work.
certain spaces, yes.
You're gonna aid me. I have
Hmm.
people around me who will bring me up to speed. I'm grateful that I'm acutely aware at this point to be able to receive that. But I'm don't like, add us in the narrative, then you repeating the same process as a venture capitalist who's
Hmm.
only after the dollar.
Yep. It's no different. It's no different. It's no different. So we have to be the ones, the people like you and I, who have that understanding, who see it. And this is also going to another thing. And when we dig deep into just the spirituality and the level of things, we are beings and we're,
Yes,
but on this plane, I'm in the body of a woman. I'm in the body of
absolutely,
so
absolutely,
which is
absolutely.
again going back to how they try to silence women. They don't want us at those tables because we're the ones that, wait a minute, tapping them on their shoulder. You sure you want to do it this way? Because we see the
Absolutely,
world from different angles, from multiple spheres. So
absolutely.
people like you, people like me, what we're
Yes.
doing and keeping them honest with themselves, are calling them out and saying, I know what you're doing, but you got to consider this. I see what you're doing, but you got to actually talk about this because even when we go back looking at aspects of Asian community and Asian culture, I can't remember the exact researcher that did it, but they went back and they dug into the DNA and we was there.
Hi, Japanese
Yes.
jazz. Japanese jazz, city pop is
Would you
black
say this?
R
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
is black
ma'am.
is R&B, soul, hip hop. City pop is all of our things with
Yes, ma'am.
Japanese space attached. And I'm not mad at them because
I'm
there's
not mad at
honesty
her.
and recreation.
Yes,
All I'm
ma'am.
saying is I'm standing here going, "Oh, you know the reason why we're going to do this activation called City Pop is because
Mm-hmm.
I need to marry the Japanese sound and go
Yes.
like as back and forth.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
And if
Yes,
y'all don't do it,
indeed.
I'm gonna do it where I can do it."
Yes, ma'am. And that's why we need you to do it because you have people like Theaster Gates who don't know the man's heart, don't know what his deep secrets it is. That's not my business. However, his way of doing things and not giving recognition and honor back to where it's due, I have a problem with that. Not bringing people that look like him to the table that have a prominent voice like you're not gonna bury us. You're not gonna dismiss us.
So so this is what I will say based on how long I've known him. And he has been rooted in the artist community.
Mhm.
He is. We know
Very
he's
much
a
so.
creative.
Very much
We know
so.
he's an artist. Um, I guess it's a level of, I'll say a level of the change in the guard and
Mhm.
so like when I see the DJs in the space, I know that there's a strategy to bring community in the space, but it's still dumbed down.
Yes.
it's still dumbed down. And I don't know if he even knows anymore because he's so vested in keeping and maintaining those spaces and what to do with them, that he may be just losing the connection.
Yeah.
And we just have to go,
Tap them on the shoulder and bring them
right.
back.
Because I've been
And bring them
trying.
back.
Oh, Fathom, we want to meet with you. We want to talk to you. Oh no, because why have I been tapping you on the shoulder for almost a year? You know what I asked him last year, and everybody attacked me on Facebook. This is
What's
the second
that?
time it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
I got attacked with the chosen few because I was like, why are there no women consistently throughout this program? I got attacked,
Right. Right.
and I will never be able to be on that stage. I know that.
Right.
I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
I said, why isn't there an art store, a art supply store on the
Hello.
south side,
Hello. Yes,
somewhere
ma'am.
from Hyde Park all
Yes,
the way
ma'am.
across? Y'all moving all the way across to 55th and State.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at Halsted. Y'all are connecting Halsted to
Yep.
55th to go all the way through Inglewood. All the shit is
Mm-hmm.
connected.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
complete, you're paving, you creating bike lanes, all the shit. Why is there no paint art store where I
Because
can
we
buy
got
paint?
artists on the south side. We got artists on the
They've been
south.
there. They've been there. Why isn't that happening? And all of a sudden, all these artist people, why are you pointing that at Theaster? Well, Theaster owns properties.
Mm-hmm.
He's fueling the artist. He's fueling these spaces. I would think, from a common standpoint, I don't have a problem going downtown to Blick,
No.
but why should I?
Why should I? Why should? Because that's taking me
Michael's
out of
is
my
Michael's is
way.
not quite my store.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Who, like, is that? And I asked God, I was like, is that supposed to be one of the things that I do, Lord? Because if you want me to do it, then find me the resources, find me the
Right.
people to be able to manage that space. I'm like, I don't know a lot, but I know that if I have a team, I can execute.
Mm-hmm.
The orange man in office told me 20 plus years ago, he was like, I don't have to know everything. He told me this
Right.
20 years ago.
Surround
And
yourself with a
he was
team.
like,
Surround
I don't have to
yourself.
know everything. I just have
Mm-hmm.
to pay people who are experts and who can execute.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
what's up?
That's that's real. That's real. It should have been an art store on the south side. It should
It
have
was back in the
been.
day. They in Harper's Court, there was a
Yes,
very
it was. I
small.
do remember that. It
I'm
was
so glad
very
that you do.
small. Yes,
It was
indeed.
a very. I used to go in there and get
Mm-hmm.
Windows to Africa was
Mm-hmm.
up on the tier. They were doing interesting
Yep.
business. So I'm like, where's that store now where the artists
Yeah.
go? We got record stores again, Lord. We got food spaces. And I love all that. And I know we're talking about sustainability, but do you really not think that it's sustainable if you have all of these Black, whites, Asians, Latins, Middle Eastern people
Mm-hmm.
who are creatives in that
In
community
that space.
and not
And I
having,
can't, and with the University of Chicago being centered where it is, it should have
and
been an
now they
art
have an
store.
art department. They didn't have
Right?
that.
Right.
You
They
have a
never
whole
had
art
that.
department
Yes.
now.
Yes,
You are
ma'am.
taking, I call them tuitions. I
Yes,
call the
ma'am.
babies tuitions. Walking up and through. You got the tuitions, creative, they all engaged.
Mm-hmm.
I went to see, what is her name? Betty Sarr. Betty Sarr had an
Okay. Yeah,
exhibition.
yeah.
I walked
Uh-huh.
through there last week and I was like, well, where do I buy art supply? Lord, I don't buy art supply from
Mm-hmm.
Walgreens.
No,
You
ma'am.
don't get art supply
No.
from Office Max. Where am I supposed to get my free?
No.
Because I'm painting and stuff. Where am I going besides downtown? Who's supposed to do that? And all of a sudden, the artist community is like, that's not the Astor's work. That's the university's work. I said, it's whoever's work wants to do it.
Uh, his name is attached to it. Why isn't it his work?
Oh, they don't
It's
want
all
me
part of
calling
the
him to the carpet
community.
because he is aided and abetted the artist. So for this period of time, he
And
is
they want
rich.
to stay on his good side.
I understand that, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm struggling because I'm looking at his spaces and some of them are not active right now. They're just
Mm-hmm.
there. So it's repeating the process of what's happening downtown.
Yeah.
You're grabbing spaces and they're paid for or however they're being funded. They're not active.
Mm-hmm.
What good are they doing?
Correct. Correct. And if you're trying to market to a completely one type of people or one type of community, oh, you doing that. But with it being located in the
Yeah.
spaces that is mostly us that looks
Yeah.
like us who built the, I have a problem with that.
It looks a little suspect, to say
Hmm.
the least.
Yeah,
It looks a little villain adjacent.
yeah. So all of that, you are correct. All of that is connected, and for the different locations that I've been in the States, but then also on a global aspect, I see the geopolitical understanding and know that the dollar needs to come to Chicago. Chicago has way too much history. Chicago has way too much connections with the airports, with the buses, with the
Yeah.
train, the water, and all that.
Yeah.
Chicago is connected.
So this is what I'm being given right now. So the question is for us, because we have the connectivity, how can we start to work with these businesses to curate those types of experiences to pair? Because what we're seeing is we're seeing the art spaces pop up and they have different names. So that means that we may need to align with other businessmen and creating those types of activations in
Hmm.
practical, everyday purpose type spaces
Yes.
if they're open to that. So that I think that's going to be the work, is to propose for these spaces. Hey, we want to do a an activation and an exhibition. We want to merge the Black experience in your Black businesses so that it'll tie that. I think that's what I'm being called to do in NAFC. So where I'm
Hmm.
not quite DJing, but I'm bringing the curation and I'm pairing it with artists like Angie Stone was our dinner, our first dinner. Our
Okay.
second dinner is Roy Ayers. That's happening next
Beautiful.
Thursday.
Beautiful.
My third dinner will be, and I may do living artists as well, because Amel LaRue is
Okay.
is like a Ella Fitzgerald of that of the 90s, and it
Okay.
addresses that hip hop as well as the jazz and the blues. And
Perfect. Perfect.
so I'm starting to do that work and presenting, but I do need the academia. I do need the structure from you. I do need the consulting from you so that
Okay.
it comes off the way that we need it to come off in these spaces.